So I thought today we would do something I've actually been wanting to do for quite some time. I've been wanting to come up here to the mountain rest area and take a look at the crash site of the B-25C bomber that crashed back in 1943. So kind of give you an idea of the location that we're at. We are in Oconee County, obviously. We are about 21 miles, I guess, north of Walhalla and off of Highway 107. We are just past the Moody Springs and the Cherry Hill campground area. So the crash actually happened on March 10th of 1943, and all 5 crew members perished. And we'll go over an old newspaper article here in a little bit and talk about what they think was the cause and things like that. Give you guys a minute to pause that and read over it. I believe this was the first military plane crash that happened in Oconee County, and then just a few years later, and I believe it was 1945, there was a second military plane crash that happened over in Long Creek. And here's that newspaper article from the Kiwi Courier, and that's dated at December 5th, 1945. And in this crash, all seven of the crew members were rescued. They weren't rescued. They parachuted from the plane before it crashed. So the wreckage of the plane crash itself is long gone. I can't find a whole lot of information on it, but I believe that it was probably removed just within a few days of the wreckage being discovered. But there is a memorial here on the side of 107, and then there's another one at the actual crash site. And it's a geocaching location, so people go back there and try to find it using GPS coordinates and things like that. So there's actually not a designated hiking trail, which is fine, but I do think that it could potentially be dangerous for someone trying to use the directions off of this memorial here and just wandering into the woods without having a GPS or something like that. Now, I found it without using GPS, but I just kind of use my best guess on which way to go. Now, the directions on this say across the road - 200 yards to the north is the site of an Air Force B-25C plane crash. Now, what I'm curious about from those directions is, do I start here at the memorial and you go 200 yards across the road and then hang a right and start going north until you run into it? Or from this marker, do I walk 200 yards to the north first and then hang a right and go across the street? I'm kind of unsure about that. And if we pull out the compass here, if we were going to take these directions word for word, we can get this to focus here. North is almost in an exact parallel plane with the face of the memorial. And if we were to do that, we would end up going directly into this little neck of woods and then over that hill and then, hit back onto the road. And it just doesn't seem very clear to me. So that's kind of confusing. So I figured maybe what we could also do is throw up just a couple of flag markers to give people a general direction on which way to go without wasting their time going in the wrong direction and getting lost. And you know, also to kind of remember the service members that had passed away in the accident, because I can't remember who said it, but they said that we die 2 times in our lives. We die once physically, and then we die a second time when the last person on earth forgets our name. So it's important to remember people. Alright, so to kind of give you guys an idea of where I'm starting from, I'm going to stand right here at the memorial. I'm going to put my back to it, right? Now, I'm staring at Highway 107. I'm going to look just to the left. There's going to be a caution 35 mile per hour sign with the turning arrow right here. And probably 20-30 feet behind it, up on this hill, there's going to be a gray and orange tall box, and it's one of the kind of like AT&T Bell South type telephone line service boxes. So that's going to be our starting point. Okay, so we're going to grab a couple things and we are going to head up that way. Alright, here we are at the end of this little loop driveway here. Right there we've got the back side of our yield sign, or our 35 mile per hour sign. And just right up the hill here, there is the service box. That's going to be our point here. So if you want to cross the road right here and then walk up that little small ridge, we can do that. Or if you just want to go right up the hill, you can do that as well. Wouldn't go this way, that's a pretty sheer drop off. So here we go. Alright, here it is. That's going to be our first marker. So we're just past our first marker, and right here on the right we've got a small hole that's been dug out, probably by an armadillo or something like that. Kind of on this side of the field there. I've seen a yellow jacket come out, so I think maybe whatever used to live in there doesn't now. It's probably taken over by yellow jackets. So be aware of that. So it's probably hard to tell from the video here just because it's so thick and overgrown, but there is a type of road cut in right here, and I'm not sure when this road was cut in or if it was for logging purposes before or after the plane crash, or perhaps if even the road was cut in specifically to remove the plane, maybe by like the Army Corps of Engineers or something like that. But this is going to be the path that we're going to take for a decent majority of our walk. Alright, so right down here is the log we just went under. Here's our next marker after that. Now at this portion of the road, we are hitting this kind of log jam here of these fallen pines. So this is where things are going to change up. We're going to make a right turn right here across this bank. We're going to put a couple of tags in this tree and this one over here. And we're going to start making our way around the edge here on the best walkable path, while staying kind of on the peak of this ridge here. Remember guys, this isn't a maintained trail, so there are lots of logs that are trees that are fallen, and there can be lots of creepy crawlies that call it home, so make sure that we're stepping up on that log and then clearing it as we come over. So we're still putting our flagging tape up, about halfway there, but I came across this this adult black locust tree, and I was thinking about where to put a tag, and I thought about putting it on it, and so I came up on it, and I looked up and I found this this gigantic cracked cap polypore. I'm gonna do some shot of that. So here we are at the crash site itself. I've just got finished marking out the trail. It's marked probably every 10 or 15 feet. It's marked very well, and you can see it coming or going, so both ways. You can identify the trail very distinctly, and the more people that walk it, the more actual path will start to develop. So now I thought maybe I'd show you the newspaper articles that I've been able to dig up. So here I will show you the newspaper article that I was able to find. I wasn't able to find an actual article on this 1943 crash here where I'm standing now, but I was able to find a Kiwi Courier December 1945 and 5th newspaper article where this crash is referenced. So there was also a let's see, it was a C-45 transport that crashed in Long Creek area, but the 7 crew members, they did escape with parachutes. I believe one had gotten stuck in a tree, and he had to be rescued by the power utility workers, I believe, with a bucket truck and things like that. But excuse me, this article from 1945 does reference shortly this 1943 crash. So if you be patient, I will read this small section right here where it references this. Now this is a picture of the plane crash from where I'm standing right now, this 1943 B-25 bomber. You can see somewhat of like metal wreckage and then several trees coming across. It says, the recent crash of the Army C-45 transport in the mountains of Oconee County near Long Creek, after its 7 passengers had parachuted safely, recalls many Oconeans to the B-25 crash near the Fish Hatchery in March of 1943. Pictured above left is the strewn and twisted wreckage of the Army bombs. Hold on, some of this stuff isn't quite printed out, especially over here, but we don't need that anyways. Twisted wreckage of the Army bomber found in the mountains 21 miles above Walhalla, March 22, 1943, by a mountain boy riding through on a horse. Among the wreckage was found the bodies of the plane's 5 crew members who perished in the accident. The B-25 medium bomber was believed to have crashed in the mountain during extremely bad weather conditions midnight, March 10th. The aircraft disappeared on a routine flight from Meridian, Mississippi to Greenville. So, if you make the journey out here, somewhere hidden amongst the trees and leaves, you will find an ammo can. This is part of the geocaching part of it. Here there's just a couple little trinkets and things like that. If you can, from what I don't really do geocaching, but from what I understand, you can take something, but you have to leave something in return. There's a few ink pens in here and a notepad that you can sign that you were here, your name and the date. There's a little book here of the ones that came so far. Leave a business card. And here's just a little informational slip about the crash. Let's read that. Let's read this here. Marker to denote 1943 plane crash. So this is a very similar picture to the model of B-25C bomber that would have crashed here. Says a remote part of Oconee County, the vicinity of a military airplane crash during the Second World War, will become a memorial site thanks to an effort inspired by county residents. A B-25 Army Air Corps plane crashed into a mountaintop at night on March 10, 1943, 21 miles north of Walhalla and just 1 mile south of the Fish Hatchery off Highway 107. The crash killed 5 service members on their way from Meridian, Mississippi to Donaldson Army Air Base in Greenville. Jerry Dyar, Oconee Veterans Affairs Director, says a memorial marker with the names of the servicemen will be placed in an area known as Burrell's Place Pull-Off. At 2 o'clock Friday afternoon, March 21st, we thought March 21st, 71 years to the day of the wreckage was found, would be a good time to display and dedicate the sign, Dyar said. On March 21, 1943, a 15-year-old boy, Seab Crane, was riding his horse along Moody Trail to visit his friends near the Fish Hatchery, when his horse suddenly became spooked by an unknown foreign object on the riding trail. The object turned out to be one of the plane's engines, and that's what led to the discovery of the downed plane. Well, now the trail's marked out, we've had an overview of the plane crash site. I'm gonna get going, but if I see anything else. So here, standing at the marker, you tell that you can really see all the flags, and you're going to be able to make your way out just fine. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. See you out there on the trail.